Good morning, everybody, and welcome to PrepperCon Radio. We've got a fun day in store for you. We're going to be talking money. Real money, not fake money.
Real money, that's
We're
right.
going to be talking money, but I want to give a special shout-out to our show sponsor, Survival Medical. They're actually sponsoring our show, and they are one of the coolest and best. I mean, they're throwing the entire medical world on their ear. They're game-changing some things. They've actually come up with a process to actually make your medical supplies last 20 years. So normally your Band-Aids go bad, your alcohol pads go bad, everything goes bad, within a year to 2 years.
A couple of years, yeah. Especially if it's sitting in your car.
Yeah,
like mine.
Especially if it's sitting in your car, the back window of your car. I don't know how many cars I've seen in Utah where they've got a little red first aid symbol or a white first aid symbol on a red box in the back window. I'm like, that's not going to last very long. So, yeah, they are. You can check them out, survival-medical.com, or if you want to hang out with them this weekend, they're going to be in town. I love these guys. Check them out. They've got everything from backpacking needs to your big bucket that has everything in it. So when the crap does hit the fan, your family's prepared. Put it next to your food storage. It'll always be there. So check them out, survival-medical.com. They are sponsoring the show today. You're going to hear a lot about them. But we've got a fun show going on today. Shane, what do we got going on?
Well, today we have a kind of corny, very special guest here. One of our...
These guys have been bantering for the last 20 minutes before the show. It's awesome.
Yes, and I know if you listen to our show at all, that I love silver. And I know Scott does too. And so today our guest is Kelly Finnegan of Quality Silver Bullion down at Orem. And you guys try and stay, I guess, a little bit unnoticed. You don't necessarily do a lot of business out of your location. You're more of a mint. Is that correct?
We are a mint. I tell people you could drive by us 20 times and not know we're there.
And I've done it 200 times.
Yeah, and we've had people come by and think, hey, this is actually this is a wood star. And it's like, no, we do metal manufacturing. So
nice.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to come down
and
and
that's a
see you guys.
security thing. So,
Absolutely.
And that's the thing important about this is don't tell people what you have.
Yeah, guys, if you want to know where they're located, go to Kanab. It's right off the main street in Kanab. Big building full of gold and silver.
If you want to know where they're located,
swimming through it every once in a while.
Go to qualitysilverbullion.com, right?
Right, and we'll tell you, it's on a need-to-know basis.
Absolutely. We like need to know. So we're talking about the money system, about why people should be getting into gold and silver. Precious metals are great. I've got a lot of silver. I've got a little bit of gold, just a tiny smidge. And then I've got my jewelry, which really doesn't do anything for me.
You're not going to get rid of that
anyway. That's how the
Indians...
India actually has more gold and silver than the United States and Europe combined.
Because it's a tradition.
They carry their wealth around their necks. Very smart
They
people.
don't trust government. They don't trust fake money, currency.
I understand that one. So how did you get into this business, Kelly?
Well, I started collecting. My dad brought home a silver dollar from work. A guy had 500. He wanted to sell for $1 a piece. And my dad said, well, I don't want 500 of them, but I'll take 3 for my kids. And I got to pick one. And that was in 1969. So I'm an older guy. And I still have that dollar. It's my first dollar.
Really?
Just got me excited about how neat these old coins were and that people actually used things like that. And why did they use that rather than what we have? And so,
yeah, and that's exactly where I started as well. My dad, for Christmas, he gave us a proof, American Eagle.
Oh, Proof Eagle.
Mm-hmm. Proof Eagle, which of course I still have it, and I will always have it, even if it, silver truly goes to its true value.
So I started collecting pennies when I was 12. And I've got a penny for every year I've been alive since 1977. Cool. So a few of them actually have copper in them.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty impressive. Nothing like what you guys have got.
That's one thing I do is...
we couldn't afford any nice
So Rand Paul said now we're on the zinc standard.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I'm newer, and a lot of our listeners are probably newer to precious metals. It is definitely... It's interesting how it all works. The United States used to be on a gold-backed system. Now they're on a debt-backed system. All the dollar bills, all the 20s, the 100s, if you're fortunate enough to have those, in your wallet, and the digits in your bank are really just digits in the bank.
That's right. And
it's just
nothing.
It's just a promise that the government's going to tax somebody to make good on that.
Because all a bill is it's not even money anymore. It's a debt back.
Exactly. There's nothing
Piece of
backing
paper.
it but debt.
It's called fiat, and that just means let it be, or so be it. And it's because the government says this is money.
Yeah.
Take
And
us
you
at our
will
word.
accept it
Trust
as
us.
that.
This is we can use this for exchange.
That scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the reason I really wanted to have Kelly in today is well, first I wanted to learn a little bit more about what you guys do in your minting, the products you have available, because I know you sell to other dealers as well.
Yes, we mainly
But
do
also,
that.
I wanted to talk about, as we go along in the program today, I want to talk about really what's happening in the world right now with precious metals. If you really have your eye on the market, on what's going on, it's kind of crazy, really, what's happening out there. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But I wanted to, I guess, really see what do you guys do? Do you actually smelt? Do you? I mean, I know you do blanks.
Well, we don't smelt, but we do buy from London recognized bullion depositories. We take either the shot or bars, cut them up, and we actually.
So you have the Dory
pour-
bars.
Well,
correct?
not Dory, because
No.
Dory aren't pure enough.
Okay,
These are,
okay.
these are at least 3 or 4 nines pure.
Okay.
We melt those. We actually pour the strip, roll them, punch the blanks, anneal.
Okay, because there aren't many that
the
actually do
dyes,
blanks,
everything.
right?
Right, you're right. A lot of even the U.S. Mint now buys their
Buys
blanks
their blanks.
pre-made.
Right.
So we do the whole
Interesting.
process, and we're a mint, and we actually are a mint. You know, there's so many places that call themselves, you know, the national mint that sells stuff,
And then they have you make their
newspapers.
coins.
Yeah, and we do a lot of that custom minting for people. We are IRA approved.
Oh, okay,
And
cool.
one of the neat things that we do, but it's a pain in the butt, is we guarantee that every round that we strike, we weigh it.
Okay.
And it's going to be, you know, if it's 1 ounce, it's going to be 1 ounce, 1.000 ounces or
Wow.
heavier. So it's not an average like a lot of places.
And you don't want it heavier.
Well, we don't, but it's better to have it a little bit heavy
Right,
than
than a
light.
little light.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was how it was written, and it costs us some extra money, but boy, when you have a loyal following, they want our stuff. And
Now-
and the other thing is when we buy our product back. There's a lot of places that'll sell, but they won't buy it back.
Okay.
Or they have such a high minimum. People have bought from other places, and it's like, well, they won't buy it back from me because it's under $1,000. And we'll buy it back. And our product, we actually pay a lot more for it coming back because we know how good it is, and we don't have a problem reselling
Right.
it.
Now, if I came in and said, "Hey, I'd like 1,000 1-ounce pieces," you know, with my picture on it, will you do that?
We can do that for you.
Seriously.
Yes.
So I can have my own Scotland currency?
Yes, you can.
Not Scotland, the country. Scotland.
Scotland.
My
Scotland.
dream world.
Right. As long as it doesn't say $1 on it. I'll do
Right.
it.
You can't put a
could say
currency
$1.
$1.
You know,
I
whatever.
can make up words, right?
You can make up words.
One
yes.
monetary unit. We'll just call it that. One
One
monetary
MU.
unit.
One MU.
Yeah. One Amero.
What a marrow.
Hey, don't be going that way.
That's awesome. So if you guys are thinking about making your own monetary system for your own household, this is
right
where to
then.
do it.
Even commemorative things for a
Commemorative.
high school reunion or a family
cool.
reunion. We've done a lot of
That's
that kind of
crazy.
work too. So.
I didn't even know that was possible. I thought you had to have like some government approved, you know, to make your own.
You just have to
stamp
have
stuff.
money.
That's
Just
right.
have- Money talks. Apparently, you just have to have those digits or those.
Those
That's right.
electrons. in
Electrons
in
that
the
are
bank.
are good for now.
Mm-hmm.
For now. We'll get into that.
So what's going on? Well, Shane looks like
Oh, I
he's
was
chomping
gonna-
at the bit. He's over there bouncing around like
Yes, I'm a little
like
hyper
a little
today.
kid on Christmas. Seriously,
Uh,
when we have two topics going on in the building that Shane freaks out about,
Only two?
this is when Shane freaks out. When we're talking about gold and silver, he's like kid in a candy store, Christmas kid, you know what? All
And the
that
second
stuff.
one?
He's just like, oh, yay, and he hunches over the mic and he leans in and
And I'm
he's just
close
like,
here.
He's like hugging the mic like it's his new girlfriend or something. He gets so excited. And then the other one is when we're talking guns.
Yep.
And that's when we get our buddy Jeff in here, who's probably the biggest, best gun aficionado we've ever known, from Ready Man, and he's it looks like a girl at prom. She's just so excited. She's got a pretty dress on. Shane gets so excited. Those are his two favorite topics, and so for me this is fun because then I get to mess with him.
He's not wrong.
I know. So, okay, so let's talk economy. Let's talk. I kind of want to shift gears,
Yeah. Well, I guess my other questions were, okay, what products that do you make that we would recognize out there at other bullion dealers or
we
coin
make
shops?
a lot of 1 ounce rounds for some major companies. I mean, we make 10-ounce silver bars. We make 1/10-ounce rounds. And we actually did want to do a quick plug here that we will.
Of course, absolutely. Go
At
for it.
QualitySilverBullion.com, we're going to do a special on our 1/10-ounce rounds. Jim, who is one of the owners, he says, okay, Kelly, whatever you want to do. So
Cool.
It's through Saturday. And it's a code word. If you go onto our website, it's 5% off, which for us, that's a lot.
That's huge, yeah.
That's really big.
The margin in bullion is
There
the
isn't
credit
one.
card companies make more money than us.
You're
but-
hoping for volume.
Right. But on the 10th-ounce blanks, rounds, which are great for a barter thing, 5% off, and the code word is be prepared.
Sweet.
One
There
word,
you go.
lowercase, be prepared.
Awesome. Now, let's talk about that for a second, real quick. Is there's people who love junk silver, and I'm not one of them. I love, and I do have some of the 10th ounce.
And junk
quarter
silver
ounce,
is the
half
90%
ounce. Exactly.
silver that the government did before 64
Exactly.
and earlier.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. Essentially, yeah.
It's not junk. It's really valuable.
Exactly. It is. And I guess it was previously called junk because nobody really wanted it.
Yeah, it's worn. It's not collectible.
Exactly. But it's in such high demand right now. I think it's become more available recently. But there was a time here in the past couple months where you really couldn't almost even get it.
It ebbs and flows. It goes up and down. Sometimes you can get it, and sometimes you can't. It just
And I think some of us preppers really think, okay, that's going to be a great way to barter because you've got all these different sizes of 90% silver that you can barter with because it's still silver. It has real value, unlike the coins that we have nowadays, which actually cost more to make than what they're worth. So.
Sad but true.
Exactly. So I prefer these smaller rounds myself, the 10th ounce, because they do say pure silver on it, whatever you
right, and you know what the weight is, whereas you have to get a
Exactly.
calculator out and
Exactly.
figure out how much silver is in a dime.
And I also figure if there is when there's a dollar collapse, that people will still consider, these are dollars. They're not worth anything. They're still U.S. dollars. They've lost value, and not everyone will realize or know, okay, this actually has silver content in it, which will take some time to...
Well, and we really already have had a few dollar collapses.
Yeah,
1971, when Nixon took us off the gold standard, the U.S. dollar collapsed. It's a different dollar now than what that was before.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
and back in 33 as well.
And that's why gold and silver shot up so quickly within the next 9 years.
From
because
$35 to $42 to $800.
$800. And silver from $3.50 to $50.
Yeah.
And it was just, this is the real value of this. And it kind of showed how much the dollar depreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that's true. What you're saying is that we're not seeing the price of gold and silver go up. We're seeing the true value of the dollar manifest itself.
That's what it is. That's
more rather than saying, okay, this 1 ounce of silver is worth, right now about 17 something U.S.
and
dollars.
J.P. Morgan said, at one time, gold is money, everything else is debt.
Yeah.
So that's what money is. It holds its value.
Yeah. The banks believe it, the governments believe it, but they're telling you otherwise.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and even now, if you go to the bank, you're not getting a deposit slip anymore. You're getting a transaction receipt.
That's right.
Right? In the transaction receipt, if you look at the fine print, most banks have it stated there that you're now issuing shares.
Right.
So you own
that's an
share.
unsecured deposit at the bank.
I'm like, whoa, what happened to the money?
Yeah.
We're actually coming up on a break here. But, man, I love this conversation because to me, I'm learning a lot. And if you want to join in the conversation, we're going to be heading into this break here in a second, but join in, be part of the conversation, be part of the show. But check us out. We're K-Talk, KTKK, on Twitter, on Facebook, K-Talk, and you can call in at 801-254-5855 when you come back from the break. We'll be right back with you. Oh, again, don't forget, check out survival-medical.com. Go to the gun show this weekend. Get all of your stuff today. Don't wait for shipping. Get it this Saturday and Sunday at Southtown Expo Center. They're our sponsor for this hour. Again, survival-medical.com. Hey, welcome back. You're listening to K-Talk Radio. This is PrepperCon Radio on the coolest station in the mountains, broadcast to the world. K-Talk, AM 630. Hey, this is Scott. We've got Shane here, as usual, the prepared guy. And I just want to say another special shout-out. We're sponsored this, the next 26 weeks. We're so lucky. This is so cool. John, the owner over at Survival Medical, is probably one of the coolest guys. But Survival Medical is the only first aid kit designed for long-term storage. These guys have figured it out. They're totally changing the game. Everything else expires within about 2 years. So watch your stuff. Get this instead. So find out more at survival-medical.com. So it's survival-medical.com. Check them out this weekend at the gun show I think it's at Southtown Expo Center.
Yep.
I think. I know it's at
of the West. Yeah.
Crossroads of the West at Southtown Expo Center. You know, the price of admission is worth it because you're going to be saving so much money on your medical gear. These guys always sell lower than
wholesale.
Their distributor costs and wholesale. It's crazy. It's awesome. So check it out. We're talking real money today. And Shane's all giddy again already. So if you want to join in the conversation, if you have questions, Kelly here is the man. He knows what's going on in the industry. Why? Because he's been doing it forever. He told us,
or at least I can give you answers that are
old.
just as good as what anybody else is saying.
He's been doing this a long time. He knows what's going on. So we're lucky to have him in studio. So feel free to join the conversation at 801-254-5855. So let's talk about why is this even important to talk about money?
Yeah, why do preppers like gold and silver? I mean, what's so important?
You have to look at
metals?
what is money, and I have a $20 gold piece here that at one time you could walk into a bank with a $20 bill and they would give that to you.
That's right.
Now, if you went to somebody and said, "Hey, would you rather have this $20 gold piece or a $100 bill?" They'd take the $20 gold piece.
If they know what
they
it is.
just know. Well, they just know. There's just something about gold. You just know it's valuable.
Not necessarily silver, but gold. And I think that's where you're kind of leaning is, like you say, you're a bit more of a gold guy than, like me, a silver guy.
Yeah. And it's just, and I like both. They work in tandem, but, the banks now, the central banks in the world are starting. At one time, Canada, in their central bank, they own 77 ounces of gold.
That's it.
By law, they have to have less than 100 ounces. So they got rid of all of their gold
just
reserves.
Recently. Yeah.
Well, it was in probably the last 10 years they did that.
Even Canada, I guess Canada just recently sold off. They only had, I don't know how many tons.
Well, they had all these old 1912 to 1914 $5 gold pieces and then forever. They sold about 10% of them and melted the rest down.
That's crazy.
So
why are they not allowed to have more?
Because they are believing that it's just not valuable anymore. And that'll come back. They're basing all of their wealth of their country on the U.S. dollar. Mm. So they have faith in the U.S. dollar. But the U.S. still has, we can go on for hours about whether there's gold in Fort Knox. Yeah. At one time I didn't think there was. I think there is. But they don't want to give it any value. That's why they don't audit it. But so all of these banks are buying that. China doesn't allow an ounce of gold out unless it's in a Panda that they're making some extra money off of. And so they're storing it up. And I think what they're trying to do is once they get enough gold that they can back their currency, they're going to dump all these U.S. treasuries that they have. Yeah. And, they're going to take a hit. But the damage they'll do to the United States, take your dollar and it'll be worth a quarter.
Aren't we like the largest consumer of their goods? I mean, how damaging would
easily.
that be?
And the U.S. government's largest export is debt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that is our largest export. So
and some people say, like Scott's saying, is if the Chinese did dump all of their U.S. treasuries, that it would hurt. I mean, obviously, it would hurt us tremendously, but it would also hurt them as well because they sell so much. I'm going to say this crap to us.
They do, and
that their economy would crash. I've heard arguments either way, both ways, and maybe we're getting a little bit off the subject here. But what's your take on what? Because I think China is really the key. They are stockpiling. We know that. We don't know exactly how much. Some people think as much as 40,000 tons, which is a lot, and some think maybe no less than 5,000 or 6,000.
Probably getting close to what we have. Yeah, probably about 6,000 tons. The U.S. has 8,100. The New York Federal Reserve has 6,100 and 6,350. I think.
They say. Yeah.
But most of that belongs to other countries. Mm-hmm. Germany wanted their gold back, and they couldn't even get it back. We couldn't even give them 5% of their gold back. Yeah. And then when they got it, it wasn't the same bars that they brought here. Yeah.
So why do us preppers? Why do we need to have precious metals?
Well, it's great to have some kind of currency that's recognized by someone. The amount of dollar bills out there. I think they said I just saw a thing about that if you went to all the banks in the U.S. and everybody wanted to cash out their accounts, they only have 6 cents of physical currency
per $100
$100 that's deposited.
So we actually
who's going to have some money?
Last 2 weeks ago, we had PrepperCon, right? The largest preparedness expo in the nation. Tons of fun, over 13,000 people there. The craziest thing was we had to give the bank 2 weeks' notice to pull out $5,000 in ones and fives.
2 weeks.
2 weeks notice so they could get enough cash on hand.
That's crazy.
For us to, and that money was for our tills. So when people came in and bought tickets, we'd be able to give them change. And I was flabbergasted. I'm like, okay, these banks are federally, insured bullcrap garbage.
Yep.
They have our money and they use it. Bullcrap garbage. It's just to me, it's what do you call those? Those games where they hide
the shell games.
Shell games. Thank you. I'm like, I can't even think of it. Yeah, it's like a shell game with your own money. I'm like, why are they doing this to us?
Well, yeah, they don't have the currency. They don't need to have it. It's all lent out to everybody else. Watch It's a Wonderful Life and find out what happens to the Baileys.
That's one thing I always think of is exactly that scene. Yeah. When it's everyone wants their cash. No, our money
and everything's going digital
house.
now. So what happens if the power would have gone out at PrepperCon? How many sales would have been made at PrepperCon if the power had gone out?
Oh, we were fine.
Oh, really? You would. You had generators.
The vendors weren't.
Yeah,
but I mean, think about that though. That they would not be able to do any transactions because your debit card or your credit card wouldn't go through.
Exactly.
So that's a problem.
What's funny is a lot of the vendors were doing the same thing. They're ready. I saw in many booths people had backup power of their own. They weren't using the power from the facilities. They were using their own battery banks, which I think is awesome. You save a ton of money that way.
See, and in Sweden, they're trying to ban currency.
Yeah.
You can go to a store and they'll say, "Sorry, we don't take currency. We take a card." And the governments love that because they can control the flow of money and what you're spending your money on. And they could say, no, you can't spend it on this. Or, hey, you've got a parking ticket you need to pay. We've frozen your funds in your bank account.
And we know that's the way it's going.
Yeah.
It has to go that way in order to get, again, more negative interest rates to then provide more control. So, that's a whole other topic for another day. But so the reason we as preppers should have some precious metals.
You keep saying we as preppers. It's everybody. Everyone should be a prepper, but we as
exactly. And I guess that's really what I mean.
If even 5% of people wanted some silver,
couldn't get it.
There wouldn't be enough for everybody.
What are the statistics? What percentage of Americans have any precious metals that
they know of, or
other than say your jewelry?
Ring?
Other than jewelry, like actual having silver,
maybe 1%
coins, maybe 1%,
maybe.
So if that demand doubled.
Yeah, it would just incredibly,
we'd be toast.
Mess things up.
So, what would happen to the value of precious metals if when that happened?
That's going to, it's increase the value. As soon as everybody, it's funny with us, we always say business is great when the price is going down or the price is going up. Mm-hmm. When it's level, nothing. But it just needs to move.
No, you're absolutely
right. And it's funny that people always want to buy it when it starts going up.
Yep.
No, you need to buy it when it's going down.
And in all reality, in all truth, you need to buy it when it's going up and when it's going down. And if you can buy it, buy it.
Yeah, and if it's gone up way too much too fast, then that's called a bubble. Mm-hmm. And that's when you stay out. It's amazing how many people in this last run in 2011, it went to $52 an ounce. Mm-hmm. We had customers that actually their only purchase ever was when it hit like $51.
Wow.
And now they haven't bought since. Well, yeah, because they bought it at the top.
But don't get rid of it. Hang on to it.
Hang on to it. We actually have a caller. Let's see if we can get him on the line. Hey, Dennis, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. So you have a question for us?
Yeah, I was wondering about silver certificates. Like a $1 silver certificate. Are they worth anything? Other than just $1 or?
They're, if it's uncirculated, you're going to have a little collector value. They're worth maybe $1.25. Nothing more than that. They can't be exchanged for silver. I did know a guy that when they announced that they were going to stop redemption of them, he went out to all the banks and everything he could find and bought as many as he could get, and he swapped them for silver. He had to go to San Francisco to the Federal Reserve there, but he had something like $20,000 in face value of silver certificates, he said, and he swapped them for silver. Well, then, 10 years later or so, he, silver got up to 30. I think he said he sold out at $35 an ounce. So he took his $20,000 and he turned it into, what would that be? It was like $250,000.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, but right now they're fun to spend. I use them for tips in a restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
They're a lot of fun. People see that, and it kind of makes their day.
Like,
they think they're rich for a minute.
Yeah, go up to the bank teller and say, I would like to cash my check. I would like Federal Reserve notes. And they're like, wait, what?
Yeah, this is redeemable in money, it says. So I want money for this.
That's right.
So, well, right at the bottom of this one of these silver certificates that I have, it says $1 in silver payable to the bearer on demand.
Yep, it was until 1968, I think, is when they stopped that.
For silver.
Okay. So even though it's a bill printed by the United States of America, they can back out of their promises.
Well, it's still good for $1, and that's the promise.
Okay.
That's the promise.
It'd still only be worth $1.
Yeah, it's still worth $1.
You just can't exchange it for silver.
It's funny. I see people that have like a $1934 $100 bill, and we've had this in the family forever. What's it worth? And I said, it's worth $100. In 1934, $100 was a lot of money.
And if you would have exchanged that for gold or silver at the time,
yeah, if they had actually had a 5 $20 gold pieces and then kept those, then you'd have something. But yeah, that shows you how much the dollar has done.
That's what I've been told, and I just wanted to hear it from somebody else again.
Oh yeah, yes. Okay. Yeah, I know people have skepticism about coin dealers sometimes saying, "Oh, they just want to get this from me for nothing."
That's a great point.
That's just one of those.
Hey, thanks for calling in.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that brings up another topic we'll touch on real quick, is that numismatics. I mean, that's my advice is stay away from numismatics. You don't want to pay a premium on that.
Explain. You keep using terms that most people don't hear every day.
Okay.
And you just pass by it like, oh, yeah.
A numismatic is a collectible coin, right?
Right, it has value because it's something
collectible
about it, right.
Thank you.
And so when it comes down to actual silver or gold content in that coin, it's just like any other round or
I wouldn't be out buying rare art if I didn't know anything about rare art. So with numismatic coins, if you don't know anything about it, stay away from it, because somebody would love to make some money off of you doing that. It can be profitable. I tell people at a coin show that probably only 5% of the coins at a coin show will actually increase in value. The rest of them I have things that are fun to collect because of the history involved.
Right.
But I'm not thinking I'm going to get rich on them.
If you're going to collect, do it for a personal reason,
right?
Because you like the coin, like it has some
the value you get from it is the knowledge and the enjoyment you get out of it.
So
just like a car.
What about like silver rounds? You've got the maple leaf, you've got the eagle. Does it matter? Like when you're just looking at rounds as opposed to the actual currency ones?
Well, I like maple leafs more than eagles because they actually are 4/9 pure.
Oh.
Eagles. If you look at an eagle, nowhere on it does it say it has the purity of the silver. The government was stupid. They have to have 0.3%. I think it's 0.03 or 0.3% copper in them. So it's really hard for them to have the blanks made for that. So they actually put copper because they thought it makes it harder. Well, not that much. You had to put a lot more than that into it. So they have a lower fineness, and you pay a bigger premium for them. And that's the thing, too. The premium you pay up front, on a lot of things, you'll get it back at the end. But to say one's better than another is not true.
Okay. It's really just
But if you can buy pure silver for less money,
that makes sense.
Common sense says that's the thing to buy.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That's good to know, because that's what I've been doing, is trying to buy the most for the least.
Yeah.
So,
I guess that's the
American
difference.
Eagles, I've got, the maple leafs, I've got...
We have people that want scratched up maple leafs. They call them scruffies or impaired because they're buying the gold. They don't care about how nice it is.
Right.
They know they're going to pay a lower price when they get it, and they know they're going to get less for it when they sell it. But that spread,
it's the content.
They can get more gold for the same amount of money.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's the difference between a coin and a round. A round is something you can stamp yourself.
Right.
You can't stamp a coin. That's a government minted coin.
It has a denominator. Well, and I tell people, they have what they call a monster box. That's 500 ounces of silver. So a monster box of Eagles, 500 ounces, for the same amount of money that costs, you can get about 580 ounces of our silver.
Yeah.
So you're getting 80 extra ounces of silver. You know? And it's a game of ounces.
So like a walking Liberty?
We do a lot of different designs. Walking Liberty and Morgan, the Buffalo and Indian, like on the nickel.
So the Walking Liberty looks like the American Eagle.
It does.
Although it doesn't have a denomination stamped on it. It's not quite as detailed as the American Eagle.
Well, they've lost some detail on the Eagle. They've gone to a lower relief because it's easier to strike.
Okay.
Yeah, ours looks more like the half dollars that were struck in 1916 to 1947. So,
okay.
But other than that, I mean, but our silver is actually purer than the silver in a silver eagle.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
So just slightly, though, right? I mean, it's
0.99. No, they both have an ounce. Well, ours actually has more than an ounce of silver. But yeah, it's very slight.
Okay.
And our silver isn't quite up to the eagle, to the maple leaf standard. So we're right in between there. And they're close. Anything 0.999 is considered pure.
And you can tell the difference just by looking at it. The Eagles definitely, they shine a lot better.
Well, we're talking gold, silver, we're talking real money. And today's show is actually sponsored by Survival Medical, the only first aid kit designed for long-term storage. Check them out at survival-medical.com. We'll be right back after the break. You're listening to PrepperCon Radio on K-Talk, AM 630, the coolest station in the world, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, what is that one?
We're talking PrepperCon Radio right now. We during the break, we started talking about TV shows we like, dislike. And I mentioned Alone, which is actually on right now, I think every Thursday night. But it's awesome because people are taken and they drop 10 contestants off all over the place, and they've got to survive. Wilderness survival experts. This one guy from Arizona tapped out first day. He didn't even spend the night. I'm like, whoa. And he was talking a big game the whole time. I'm like, well, goodbye. And then another show, Kelly brought up that his wife likes to watch. He's like some fat guys in the forest. It's actually Fat Guys in the Woods.
Oh, that's what Fat Guys in the Woods. Yep.
Yeah, with Creek Stewart, and he actually, I remember when he got famous was when I was a Boy Scout. In American Life, the Boy Scout publication, he was in the back of that with these little, survival guides that he would sell, and he was like 4 years older than me. I just remember seeing those. I'm like, man, that's so cool. And my mom would never let me buy one because we were penny pinching back then. Still should be. But I spend too much money on food anyway, so it doesn't really matter. My food storage is my gut first.
That's right. This is my 72-hour kit right here.
Yeah, I got a week and a half supply. But, I mean, there's so many fun things you can get involved in that actually do teach you quite a bit. These two shows, you actually learn quite a bit. Unlike some of the other shows, you don't learn anything from. But we have fun. PrepperCon Radio, our whole focus is to help make sure you're learning something, that you're engaged, that you have a say. We're talking real money today, precious metals, currency, what actually counts. And we're shifting gears right now. I want to talk a little bit about what ifs, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not really what ifs, it's what when is what it should be. And I was reading a few weeks ago, right after PrepperCon, one of my buddies posted this article about China changing their currency and that their new gold stamp is not going to be transferable to the U.S. dollar at all. They're not going to accept that. That's kind of scary. What happens when or if that actually takes place? Another thing that came up was there's this video. Everyone that was in real estate in 2006 remembers the big bubble and then the giant tanking crash that destroyed so many people's lives. And that was all. I mean, that was scary. I lost a house during that time. I know a lot of people lost a home. I lost a house because I switched jobs and had to move, and I couldn't rent out my house. I couldn't sell my house fast enough, and it went from a $300,000 home down to a $112,000 home really fast. I was living in Arizona at the time. Really scary. And one of the guys that actually predicted that was Peter Schiff.
Mm-hmm.
He just came out with another video saying that in May there's going to be another collapse. The dollar will collapse this time. It's not a housing market bubble that's crashing. The dollar's going to collapse. You never know. I mean, everyone comes out with predictions, and that's one of the first things I say is that every prediction you hear, take with a grain of salt. I hear a lot of predictions that there's an earthquake coming to Utah in July and that we're all doomed, and I'm like,
Those are the
Hey, that
two.
sounds like September of last year.
Really, kind of the 2 or 3 biggest topics I'm hearing right now is earthquakes in Utah, and a high increase, a big increase in the possibility of having big earthquakes. Second is what's going on with silver right now and precious metals. It's the big banks are admitting to collusion. They're admitting to manipulation, and so they're starting to lose control. And then, I'm a big fan of Peter Schiff. I listen to him all the time. I've met him in person. I've got his books and autographs and so forth. So I'm a bit of a geek on Peter Schiff. But I don't know that I'm definitely very, of course, concerned. But if anyone throws out a date, I'm very skeptical.
Yeah.
On any kind of a date whatsoever. I mean, it's going to happen. We know it's going to happen, and I feel that a collapse.
There's too many people that can pull levers and push things out.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
So I'm what you'd call a non-subscriber, but a participant. Like I'll listen and I'll watch, but I don't subscribe to the dates. I don't subscribe to that. We actually have a caller, Kathy. Let me see if I can bring her on the line. Kathy, are you there?
I am here.
All right. I heard you've got a comment for us.
I do. So my father works for the banks. He has been in real estate for years, and they're gearing up. So what he does is he goes out and he will evaluate properties that the bank has repossessed and evaluate what needs to be done so that they can sell it for as quickly as they can for as much as they can. And he also works with the foreclosures for the banks, and he said that they're gearing up for another one of those collapses.
Yeah.
The 2008, they're getting ready for another one of those.
That doesn't surprise me at all. How long has he been talking about this?
Well, he was in town and was telling me about that probably about 2 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, one thing that I've heard from Peter Schiff and others as well is that the new housing starts over the past 2 months have dropped 7%, I think, in March, or in February, and 8% in March. So we know that nationwide the housing market is on a downturn.
Well, I just saw that this is the first time since they recorded it that there have been 13 straight weeks of more stocks being sold than bought by the bigger banks. So that's telling you they know people in the industry know what's going on.
Yeah.
The government comes out with these numbers about unemployment telling us it's below 5%. No, you're probably more like 12%, if you want to count it the real way. And it could be higher if you're going to conclude some other things. But, we try not to scare people with this, but just to give them options, because being prepared, there's several ways to be prepared. There's the short term and there's the long term. And, I actually have put I put my money where my mouth is. I actually have taken all of my 401ks and IRAs and converted them into precious metals because
you hold yourself.
I did, and I hold it myself, and there's a way to do that, and it's legal and everything, and it's still an IRA. But Mike Maloney, who I'm a geek and follower of, he pulled everything out after he pulled it out just to kind of look in cash to see what was going on, and he says, I don't love gold and silver, but I love them right now because everything else is overvalued.
Yeah.
And so he's just waiting on the sidelines with that. And he says, I'm not going to leave it in paper currency because that could be wiped out. I mean, people don't realize that, there won't be any more bank bailouts. They're going to be bank bail-ins. And that's in Dodd-Frank. There's going to be, if you've got money in the bank, there's going to be a haircut. And Greece and Crete was just to show you, Cyprus, hey, let's see what the people will do if we do that. How big of a uprising? Not
Absolutely.
too bad.
Not bad enough.
We got another caller. Let's take this one. Hey, you're on K-Talk. What's your name?
Phil. I'm just calling to get the name of that metal company that was on low earlier.
Oh, they're actually still here.
Yep,
Kelly.
it's quality. It's qualitysilverbullion.com is the website.
Qualitysilverbullion.com.
All one word.
Down in Utah County.
Yep, we're in Utah County. We actually do mint the items, and it's kind of order it, and we'll set up an appointment for you to come in. We don't like people just walking in off the street because it's not secure for us and it's not secure for you.
Yeah,
how would you feel going in and having somebody sitting in the parking lot watching you and writing you on your license plate number?
Oh, I
and
invite
saying,
'em.
"Hey, where was this guy going? What is, how big is that box?" and things. So we're
give
really
crackers.
concerned about security.
Yeah. So you'll ship though?
Yeah, we ship. We actually do an item too where I don't know if Jim will like me to say this, but if you're a veteran, we're very concerned about veterans. We do have free shipping for veterans, and then depending on the amount, the value, we'll ship for free. Some people like to come and pick it up themselves, just for another added security. I have a PO box. I use a PO box for everything. And if they say, well, I need a physical address, I give them the physical address of the post office, and my box number is like an apartment number, so that works
really well,
too.
yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for calling.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. All right, we got a lot of calls coming in. Hey, thanks for calling K-Talk.
Hi. Are you taking any calls from the public?
Well, that's what we're doing right now. You're on.
Okay, great. Would it be too far afield to talk about the Benghazi and Hillary Clinton?
Right now, we're still focusing on gold and silver and commodities.
Precious metals, IRAs.
Precious metals.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I was going to say during that they stole 143 tons of gold
Yep.
and 143 tons of silver.
Same in Ukraine and wherever the U.S. government goes. Same in Syria. And
Yeah, they do that when things get bad and people start questioning the value of the dollar. That's when gold and everything starts going up. So governments will dump metals just so that it keeps the value down, so that the dollar doesn't fall too much.
exactly, they need to have more metals to deliver in order to prop up the market to keep the prices down.
Yeah, in the 70s, the Saudi government went out and they dumped like 10 million ounces of silver on the market really quickly, and just to depress what they were going to do is depress the price, and then they were going to go back in and buy it cheaper and make a profit on it. Well,
Now, you're talking physical silver,
physical
not paper,
silver,
not
yeah.
paper silver.
So they were going to make a few $100 million really quick. The British government kind of knew what was going on, so the government bought all that silver to keep it off the market. So they kind of stopped them from doing that again. But governments play with these metals all the time just to not make things look as bad as they really are.
That's a great way to put it.
Hey, thanks for your call. Hey, thanks for calling K-Talk. You're on the air.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. Hey, I've also converted, years ago, converted all my 401ks into precious metal IRAs, which, I pay storage fees on, and they're in some magical vault in New York or somewhere. And I've heard recently about taking possession of your gold and your precious metal IRA, and I would be interested in that. Can you give me some direction there?
Yeah, if you want to call or send me an email,
Okay.
Kelly at qualitysilverbullion.com. I can tell you about that. One of the things, David Morgan, he's a big silver guy, and he deals in mines and stuff, and he just says, if you can't hold it, you don't own it.
Yep.
And I don't want to have to worry about needing to get my silver and worrying about it being in Delaware somewhere. And I've had too many horror stories of people that have bought, monster boxes of silver eagles, and then 25 years later, because they don't even get to see what they bought. It goes directly from the coin dealer to the depository.
Yeah.
And they'll get the box back and they'll open it up and there's steel bars inside of it. And it's been so long and they can't tell for sure if it's their box because it's not sequestered. So they're stuck with the box of steel. So
And there are quality dealers out there who have been around for a long time with a great reputation. So we could definitely give you some, in addition to quality silver bullion.
There's local places here, that you can store metals at. So there's if you want it in a depository like that, Salt Lake, there's one here. So
Okay.
but if you want to have it, if you've got a safe or somewhere, a nice place in your backyard that you really like, you can do that,
Yeah. Well, I'm concerned that you mentioned the bail-in, and I'm like, I can see the grabberment going, well, you've got X amount, and now we need some of that.
Well, have you noticed that they're called individual retirement accounts?
Yeah.
When the individual, it's written into law. I think it was 6 years ago, and they've come to Congress like twice to vote on it. They can go in when you die. you don't need your IRA anymore. That becomes possession of the government, and they will give your family Social Security, but that individual no longer exists. And the other thing that they can go in and do is, if you've got stocks in an IRA, they could say, well, you know what? We're going to give you U.S. Treasury bonds for 25% of your stock. They're equal. They're the same. This is worth just as much as that. Well, they're running out of money. This is the first year that the Social Security is actually going to be paying out the same amount of money as it takes in. Yeah. So everything after this year is a debt for Social Security. Wow. So
now let me make sure I got this straight. That's Kelly at QualitySilverBullion.com.
Right.
K-E-L-L-Y.
K-E-L-L-Y.
Got it. All right. I'll shoot you an email today.
Yep. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for your call. We're grateful for all our listeners. We missed a few calls during that time, but we took as many as we could. We're running to the end of the show right now. But if you're in the sound of our voice, and if you're listening in, if you have friends that don't listen to our show, and you think this information could be very beneficial for them, please get them to our podcast. It's streamed from k-talk.com. This hour has been sponsored by Survival Medical. They are the only first aid survival kit designed for long-term storage. So check them out, survival-medical.com. And remember, tune in next week. We'll be back every Wednesday from 9 to 10 here on K-Talk, AM 630.
Thanks for coming so much, Kelly. It was awesome.
It was
Thanks
great.
for being here, Kelly.
Thank you.